So now let's clarify some things about President Trump and what he's doing. First off, it's not just President Trump that believes tariffs are essential for making America great again. His U.S. Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, is 100% behind the plan. Now, the reason I say that is because, and again, I don't know where you get your news or what you follow or something, but there are videos on YouTube you can go find of President Trump, long before he's President Trump, talking to Larry King 40 and 50 years ago, talking about how tariffs need to be the way that the U.S. gets its financial house in order, talking about how tariffs can help us keep manufacturing in America and how shipping all these jobs away to other nations is not our best choice for the long-term strength, health, and financial growth of the United States of America. So he had this in mind a long time, and he said it multiple times during his campaign. So anybody who didn't think he was going to do it really just thought he was another one of those politicians who says one thing and does something different, and he's not. But I'll tell you, it's not just him. His team is behind this, whether it's Peter Navarro or Scott Bessent or many others that work with him. They see this as a way to get this done. Now, you'll notice I focus on Scott, U.S. Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, for a particular reason. I want to share this with you. He advocates for a 3-3-3 policy framework to cut the budget deficit to 3% of GDP, to achieve a 3% GDP growth through deregulation, and to increase daily oil production by 3 million barrels, which seems very doable to me. Seems like not a crazy far out plan. And that, along with the tariffs, he believes will help bring that about. Bessent's collaboration with President Trump is rooted in their mutual commitment to policies they believe will strengthen the U.S. economy, promote balanced trade, and enhance the nation's global economic standing. And I could have told you that and just left it at that, but I decided I was going to share the fourth point with you because I know several of you are pretty astute when it comes to politics and tracking information and so on, so I didn't want to leave this out and have you call me out on it later like I was trying to hide it. Also, I think it kind of speaks highly to maybe who Scott Bessent is. Scott Bessent played a significant role in George Soros' strategy leading to the devaluation of the British pound on Black Wednesday, September 16th, 1992. Now, for some of you, George Soros is, he's like the devil incarnate. You realize he has a real bent. Matter of fact, his son also the same route on destroying conservative ideals, working against certain things that many conservatives would believe to be important, certain things that many MAGA would believe to be important. And George Soros stands squarely against that in many, many ways. If you don't know who he is, maybe do a little research just so you would know. And Scott Bessent worked for him. And not only did Scott Bessent work for him, he was instrumental in Black Wednesday in London. As it goes on here, at that time, Bessent was a key member of the Soros Fund Management and headed its London office. He was instrumental in the firm's decision to short the pound, contributing to profits exceeding $1 billion for the fund. This action, while legal, is seen as profiting from economic instability. So Scott Bessent, the same guy who is President Trump's Secretary of Treasury, basically just, struck a blow to the British financial system by shorting the British pound and causing all kinds of havoc that year for them. To their point, they made $1 billion doing it, but he was instrumental in leading that process. So there's two ways to look at it. This guy's Darth Vader, or he's brilliant, or maybe he's both. But he's in President Trump's team now. And so the question is, what does that mean to you and I? And that's why I wanted to drill down on that for a second. So when I found this information out, I really started doing some digging into who Scott Bessent is. And there's two ways to look at this guy. You can look at him as concern or criticism about him, which would be things like he helped George Soros short the British pound, which was, it's terrible. If somebody shorted the US dollar and created a huge amount of economic instability in the United States of America, we'd hate that person. We would we would not be happy about that. We would be furious. And so to know that he did that to one of our allies, United Kingdom, that's pretty serious. And that George Soros sanctioned that, and Scott Bessent helped him get it done. They profited from a move that destabilized the national currency. His close ties to Soros, a liberal mega donor and conservative target, He's viewed by some as a globalist due to hedge fund background, meaning Scott Bessent. Worries about prioritizing financial gains over national interest, and some items regarding his ideological inconsistency or consistency, I guess, whether he's changed or not. On the other hand, though, reasons to trust him. He's now working for Trump, chosen by Trump to execute America First policies. He's using market expertise to build U.S. economic strength, the same insight that he used to destabilize the British pound. He now knows how to use that to strengthen the U.S. dollar. Maybe he has shifted his focus to advancing conservative goals like deregulation and tariffs, which is what he says he's doing. He advocates for the 333 plan that I told you about, the GDP growth, deficit reduction, and energy independence. And he's backing tariff leverage, domestic oil, and tough on China policies. And he's praised by Trump for being results-driven and tough on the Fed. So now, the thing about him that I sort of look at, and I'm going to give you a resource so you can do your own research about him as well, is so President Trump has a very important challenge facing him, the midterm elections, less than 2 years away now. And if we lose the House or the Senate, he's going to be looking at impeachment 3.0 and 4.0 probably. He probably won't get anything accomplished that he wants to, just like he struggled in the second term to get some of the things done that he want, or the first term to get things done that he wanted to do. So he knows he is on borrowed time to get everything finished. And so he is working very hard, I believe, to make sure that he doesn't get cut off at the knees in the midterm elections. And that means he has to be showing people that his policies are working and that things are turning around, and that not only is Wall Street experiencing growth, but so is Main Street, and so is your street. And so he, I believe, is working diligently to get that done, because I don't think he wants to fail at what you're doing, what we're doing, what he's doing. So for him to choose Scott Bessent must mean that he has decided that he's going to place a big part of what he's doing in the hands of this man to help bring it about. President Trump will do his part, but he also needs a U.S. Treasury Secretary who can do his part as well. To that point, I remind you that President Trump has brought a number of people into his cabinet that really were Democrats before. RFK Jr., seriously a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard, Democrat. Elon Musk, Democrat. Scott Bessent, don't know what his politics were particularly, but I would assume probably Democrat. And to be fair, President Trump himself was a Democrat. I mean, it's kind of funny in a way that the Republican Party now being led by Democrats, but I think it's more because their party left them and they decided the conservative ideals, make America great again, economic stability are critical, and they couldn't get that in the party they were in, so they chose to move to a party that was welcoming that and seeking it. So what I would say to you is that I believe that President Trump is incredibly serious, just laser focused on fixing this economy and making things better going forward. I think that he's putting people around him who will make that happen. And to that point, I'm going to share with you a thing that you can look at. I've listened to Scott Bessent on many interviews he's done. And in many of them, he's just sort of bobbing and weaving, answering questions, trying to get things done, because he's talking to people who really don't like President Trump and are trying to catch him in something they can use against him or President Trump. This interview here, which you can find on YouTube for free, is Tucker Carlson interviewing him. It's about an hour long, and it really gives you a good understanding of who this guy is and what's driving him. I think the guy in 1992 who engineered what happened with the British pound has changed a lot. And he explains part of the reasoning. I think he doesn't explain exactly the details of it, but you can sense as he's talking some pieces of that. So I would encourage you, just find this on YouTube, watch it for the hour. And I would say two things will happen. Well, assuming that you decide, like I have, that this guy is the real deal. The other thing that'll happen is you'll recognize they actually have a plan, a real plan, a serious plan. It's not just about tariffs only. It's about much more than tariffs. And I think you'll find that what Scott Bessent, as well as others, are doing is designed to make that happen, to bring that about.